Okay, so first thing I want to talk to you guys about today is IPA. IPA is our packet analyzer. We've been working on it for a while now, and it's our Eye packet analyzer. It's built around, originally it was built just around the idea of a hierarchical pie chart, kind of a multi-level pie chart that would show you the relationships between BSSIDs and clients and frame types, and we've added to that as time goes on, but we love having our little tree piece. So since Wireless Field Day 3, we've had 5 major releases of the application. We've added, based on feedback from Wireless Field Day, we added in an analyze tab to kind of do high-level heuristic analysis, so that you guys don't have to dig through all of the packets in order to find out patterns like excessive deauth and low data rates are on, and all kinds of stuff that's kind of just to get rid of the high, take care of the high stuff. And we've also, we've always opened up captures that were taken with multiple air P caps. You can set that up in a lot of different ways, but we now let you do it directly in the app. And we also added the ability for you guys to copy stuff out of the app, without having to take like a screenshot of the whole screen and then take it over somewhere and crop it. We let you say, I really like that table. I want to grab that table into my report. I want to grab this, the histogram into our report. I want to grab, whatever. And so we added the ability to do that as well. And we're going to keep working on it. We have a new release upcoming, and I'll show you the features of that here in a minute. But so we want to keep really pushing packet analysis forward, because it's getting to be more and more important as time goes on. Yeah. So. All right. So IPA, like all of our tools, we have a heavy emphasis on learning for people who are new to it. We do have a bunch of learned content. People can go through and see how to use the app. What kind of tasks are appropriate for packet analysis. And it's a great way to get people who might not know everything. We talk to you guys here. All the delegates here at Wireless Tech Field Day. You guys are the best and the brightest of the industry. So it's great to talk to you guys. But it's the next 2, 3, 500 people or thousands of people that will have to go out and support all the other networks that we really want to make sure that they can do what they need to do. So like I said before, we do have the ability to capture with multiple devices. So I'll go ahead and set up a quick capture right here. We'll just capture like one.
As you're setting that up, I noticed you're on a Mac.
Yeah.
Can you capture off its internal NIC?
Not with IPA. Because it's a Windows VM. There's a lot of challenges with capturing packets directly from the Mac. You can do it through that, the Wi-Fi diagnostics tool. You can go in there and you can make your PCAP, and then we can definitely, you bring that into IPA, and we'll open it up just fine. So that's great, and we totally support that. But going from the VM to the OS, to OS X, and saying, hey, you have this kind of weird, kind of private API. Would you let us access that over to from the VM? It's really.
I could hope, Kenny.
Yeah. But actually, you're totally right. Because the Air PCAP is really only, we have these 2 Air PCAPs here, but it's really only one of the ways to get PCAP files, or any kind of capture files. We support NetMon, we support half a dozen other ones, and getting it directly off the AP, or getting it from the MacBook capture. All that stuff is totally the stuff that we want to make easier, because if we did make an IPA for Mac, it would definitely be something that we'd love to do, because that would be perfect, right? You don't have to have any external devices or anything like that. And so I think that if you'd probably see us doing that first, rather than trying to go from Windows into the OS, and we'd probably just make a native tool. But I obviously I'm not. I'm not saying we are.
So,
but
Ryan, did you just hear that?
No. Yeah, right.
He wants to win.
Yeah. Well, we always, back when we were watching this back in the office, and Ryan comes out, oh yeah, we're totally doing that. Everyone's like, oh no. I can't say that. I can't just say, oh yeah, we're doing that, because then I haven't talked to Ryan. But anyway, yeah, but that's something we definitely think is totally valid. I mean, it's something we've talked about, and it's, who knows, but but because it's a cool tool for doing packet captures.
Probably I'll make a cleaner question that you can probably answer easier. What devices can you capture directly from inside the app?
Right today, with the release, it's just the RP cap. It's been the one that's given us the, it has all, it has its problems, just like all these tools have their problems, but it's the one that we get really, we know it's really well-known quantity. We know exactly what we're going to get out of it, and so it's been pretty good, But we're totally open to adding other capture devices. We have no religion on on the RP cap, but
Thanks.
yeah. So when you can come in here and all of your capture devices will be listed. You can go ahead and I have it set up here for 1 and 6, and so you use the the aggregator just like you would in Wireshark. It's the same kind of thing, and then when we get some data, go ahead and stop, and then we'll load it right away for you. For anyone who's you guys are familiar with Wi-Fi, right off the bat, a bunch of stuff is going on here where we have the histogram up top and we have the packets and the bytes. And so let me kind of break this down. We kind of have a view that each of these screens we wanted to kind of flow from the top down to the right, so that you have the first thing you do at the very top is filter the data, because you guys, you want to be able to say, I care about my network. I don't care about my network because I know it's probably fine. I want to look at the other stuff. So we have a lot of tools to let you filter that. This happens to be a multi-channel capture, and we say, okay, let's focus on one channel at a time. So I'm going to go and look at all the stuff on channel 1, and then you look at what was happening. There was not a lot going on, and let's do the other one because that's probably more interesting. And because we can really quickly switch back and forth. It's you can take these out by just hitting the X. You can add in another one. All of these can be added and removed ad hoc. So it's our goal is to, with the fewest number of clicks and buttons and craziness, for you to really start shoving out lots of packets that you really don't care about. That in a lot of other tools you have to be scrolling, or you have to have all of your own custom packets, custom filters. And again, this is for the next 1,000 wireless guys who don't necessarily have these are my top 50 awesome Wireshark filters, because we let you do a lot of that filtering just live, just really with a couple button presses. You can say I want to only look at this one MAC address, or if you have these little toggles here, you can say I don't care about this MAC address. I don't care at all about this. Let's say you really, that's bad. I don't care about broadcast at all. That's not a thing. So let's say we don't care about, okay, this guy is probably me. So we really don't care about that. So we're going to go ahead and say, I want to take that out. So you say, okay, no, that doesn't match anything anymore because I was in there. But when we come back out, you can see that that he was the top talker, right? But now broadcast is, because we've just totally taken him out. So you can, with these, you can do data rate. You can get let's say I want to look at the guys who are out there in the BPSK, the really low data rate lands, and so you can, or ones that maybe are high data rate or low data rate but high RSSI. Why are they on the low data? Why are they on the low data rates? I have no idea. And so it's just trying to let you go through and just really get rid of all the crap you don't care about. We had Keith. You asked last wireless tech field, or I guess it was probably even 2, maybe that, or I can't remember. But you said we really don't care about beacons. I want to know when I open this up at the very beginning, whether or not beacons are a problem. But once I do that, I don't care anymore. Like, beacons are done. And so you can come in here. You can say, I don't care about management frames if you wanted to, but you can just say, okay, management frames, beacons, probe requests, probe responses, and once you get rid of those, you get into an environment where you say, like, any of these other ones, if they show up in large numbers, then that's kind of, like, oh, that's interesting. What's going on? So, like I said, these are all just really quick filters to help you get rid of just all kinds of stuff. Then we move down to our histogram. And as we go, this is with this setup, we still have some packets. This is actually this is the new feature I was going to tell you about. One of the new features of the release of IPA coming up is in the past we've had one trace. You get to see the number of packets over time that happen at each time slice. That after the filter. And we had we thought it would be really cool if you could see kind of how much is out there, how much am I ignoring. And in this case, you can see there's this darker band that's kind of behind here. So let me get over here. So you have these little tiny spikes that are still visible, that are the ones that we're looking at. But really, you look at the overwhelming majority of the airtime and bytes, and you can switch this around. You can say, I want to look at it based, weighted by bytes or whatever. You see there are almost no, you look at, there's almost none of the bytes are still that went over the air during this capture we're looking at. And it's not so much that that's a problem, but it's that it is. Yeah, go ahead.
What do you call that feature?
What do we call that feature?
Keith. We call it the Keith feature.
The Keith feature?
You just got a feature named after you.
Thank you.
No, but
I just had to describe it. When you described it by pointing and saying it, it was obvious.
Well,
giving it a name would be a little tougher, I think.
Yeah, I would say it's the
potential versus real time. kind of.
Yeah, it's the filtered versus the
filtered
unfiltered
is
view.
the yellow, and
the bright yellow,
and the darker kind of umber dark yellow brown color is it's the whole universe. It's your packet universe. It's everything that you captured, so that you can see. And it's always there. No matter what you filter out, no matter what you do, it will always be there to let you know. Hey, and actually, I think that it's really cool. I'll see if I can come up with to show it, but it's really cool when you finally get to I only care about this client, I only care about this channel, I only care about these frame types, and then you'll see a spike. And we don't have it here, but every once we'll see it, and it's really cool because you're like, ooh, those are clearly, that's the time frame that I'm really interested in. We don't have a whole lot of those here. I can show you in another recording in a minute, but we have this little spike there, and it lets you say, okay, that's kind of what we had before, but you can see more now. You can see whether or not, in this particular example, there was hardly anything else going on during this little tiny spike. So, but I've seen one. I saw one last night that, everything was going along really good. There was tons and tons of data going on, and then my stuff was this kind of this is a high spike, and then everything else went away. During the spike that I was interested in, all the other traffic went away. And it was, wow, that's weird, because everything was going good. And then overall traffic went down, and my stuff went up. So we think it's just a really great way to kind of look at what you've taken out, just really quickly. See that we noodled a lot on how to show that. We had a whole, you're ignoring this percentage of these packets and this percentage of these packets, and we thought that we could show, like Stoney said, we figured, why not make this into another kick-ass visualization?
But it is the potential, Keith, that you have is what's, potentially back there. What would that be? You start to remove some of your filter pieces to see where you're getting back to that potential, within that time frame. And then, what do I actually have in my filter, aspect? While
you're on this, I just love it. It's great. When you brought that in and you zoomed in that area, could you make it go and zoom in on that area?
Zoom in on that? We actually, it's a good. We've talked about that kind of stuff. When can you really kind of pull out, and
then
really
stretch that to the whole length?
Yeah, what he's asking is then amplify that piece.
Yeah, so kind of actually doing a crop. You say I know that this is what I want. Absolutely, that's something that we.
It's an interesting feature.
It is an interesting feature. We've talked about stuff like that, because this histogram has a lot of potential, and we try to be careful when we get into these, because we with the density view in channelizers, we add one thing at a time over time, because we know that if we suddenly say oh no, we add this other thing and it's all wrong, we have to tear it all apart and put it back together, and it's going to be confusing. So we definitely want to do more with that histogram, because it's cool. It's a great way to show, especially when you can quickly say, okay, that's packets, that's cool. What about airtime? And you get a totally different view. So that's cool, Keith.
Yeah.
And so so once you've done this, we've gone from how many packets did we have at the beginning? We were down to only 25 packets. So with just a couple of filter adds and some time manipulation, we're down to 25 packets already. And you can see, okay, during this time I have another Apple product that's on this, let's go out. So we have the San Jose Airport Hotel network that is doing a bunch of data. Everything looks good. We have a couple of acknowledgments, and that's looking pretty good. So we can then, if this was not as groovy, we could go over to the package view that we showed you guys last time. The package view is great because we can do we do a multi-pass job on these captures so that we can, with acknowledgments. Acknowledgments don't have all of the addresses that you really need to see, where did this come from, where is this going to? So it's kind of it's tough to kind of attribute some of the packet types to their actual source. But we can do that because we do multiple passes. We figure out, okay, this acknowledgement was most likely, with really high confidence, it was part of this conversation that happened just before it. And so we can show you who the client was, who was the sender, who was the receiver, what direction was it going. We can tell you a lot of stuff about it, whether or not, in this case here it was a retransmit. There's not, and because we've already done so much filtering. It's just a little short list of packets. We can. So yeah, and that's the goal, right? We wanted to make it so that when you finally do have to start scrolling through packets, the individual packets, that you don't get to scroll very long. you scroll and I'll go, that's all I have. It's weird. We also have these, the active selection guy, so you can really see at any point when you're running around exactly, how many bytes are we talking about here? This is, in this example, this is not very many, and you would probably never see this in this is a pretty tame environment, but we can show you more here in a minute. So one thing I wanted to show off was our new Analyze tab, and so to do that, I have a recording that I'll open up. Actually, what am I doing? There we go. I already had it. We also show you the recently open captures, so when you're preparing a presentation, it shows it right away, so you don't have to dig through the file system. So this was one that we took. I think this was actually from our office in Boise, and it's a little bit more of a that environment is a little crazier. And so we have the fifth floor conference room, whoever that is. I think I have no idea who that is.
It's a congressman.
Yeah.
Oh no! It's actually lobbyists.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of lobbyists.
So they clearly use their Wi-Fi, and they have a lot of clients, and so. But what we did have during this time is we go down to one of the these Aurora Project APs. When you get in here, you get into the Analyze tab. It shows you the details of the whole file, saying we were capturing for about a minute. You got all these packets, that really high level information, and then you can get down here and see what are all of the the BSSCDs, what are all of the networks that were around during this capture, and then you say, I really think that this one is the one I am interested in. It was on channel 6. It has WPS on, or what that's the channel you're having problems with, and it shows you, hey, you're on channel 6. The first thing we have up here is this airtime kind of graph to show you on channel 6 during the span of this capture, you were not taking up a whole lot of the airtime. You were pretty quiet. In this particular example, it was really quiet because there were a lot of other packets going on. 20% of the airtime was taken up by other networks. So the goal is that you could quickly say, okay, my network on channel 6. What was going on in the air, and this is just another visualization to let you see, okay, you were just a small part, or you were the lion's share of the airtime. No one was really bothering you. Everyone else was just sending beacons or whatever. And that's just really quick. Boom, you can see whether or not there was data. In this case, you can see there was a lot of management. This little purple guy is really the only one that's you, and that had a lot of airtime.
Could you add one more box that shows the percentage of black?
The percentage of black? Sure. I mean it's certainly possible. Yeah, I mean it's something
And you
that
could add the other ones up and then try to subtract from 100.
Oh
to figure
yeah,
out
yeah. I mean that's
or eyeball it, but
Yeah.
you have the data already.
Oh yeah, we have the data. So
Which is telling someone that's how much capacity you have right now.
sure.
Yes.
And we'll,
and all of the networks, including yourself.
Exactly. On that
only
channel.
taking up, on
Yeah.
this channel, only taking up this much, and which is definitely helpful when you're also looking at how you're going to select a channel and how you're going to be, you know, when I'm determining where I want to place my network, you know, getting to understand the activity during the times that I'm going to be active, this is a great way, right? Is if that whole pie is taken up, it's like, well, that's probably not the best place to be right now. I should probably go somewhere else to try to find airtime that I can actually get to use.
Yeah, and so we also have, so that that's great. You know, the idea that we would go through and say like, you know, and we'd probably have some kind of more, you know, some more information there. Like, you know, when you get down to 10%, we turn it red. You know, like, hey, dude, you were contending for this airtime. Like everything you got, you had to steal. You know, like you had to get it. And so yeah, that's great. No, I think that's cool, Keith.
But there's also the situation we have to watch out for is capacity, right?
Yeah.
So how do you get the total capacity of what was going on? Because you have to take into account what all the APs.
What's showing up black, you're obviously guessing at some point what that is.
Yep.
What the total is, so you can make the pie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for channel 6, you know, like
no, it's not an easy task, right? Because capacity, how do you measure the capacity, right? How do you measure the capacity of everything? Because then you have to start to take into account how many clients, you know, on every some of those networks.
But this one's just time.
What are they using?
Time's
This is
a
just
easier
time.
one to
yeah, this is actually not so bad. You know, if we were doing, you're right. If we're doing this based on bytes,
It'd
there's
be
no, that is
impossible,
just
yeah.
undefined. That black space is like that is just nothing. I mean, like, but well, actually, we probably wouldn't even do a pie chart for bytes because there's no 100%. When you go to anything but airtime, you know, when you were capturing for 56 seconds and 25 of those seconds were definitely filled, then you can authoritatively build a pie chart.
Yes.
But and you can really, at the same time, you can say, okay, you know, 85, or in this case, you know, 3/4 of your time was unused. So, yeah. And so once you get, just so you know, if you select multiple channels, I can show you, but like I don't have it in here. If you have multiple channels in a recording, if you do select 2 networks, that one on channel 1, one on channel 6 or 11 or whatever, it'll show 2 different sections that you'll actually scroll down through, so that you can say, okay, here's the airtime on channel 1, here was the airtime on channel 6. So, in fact, I'll probably do that when I go back to live. But all right. Once you get through, that airtime is kind of just that high level. You know, we go from really general to more specific. We get down to the analyzed stuff, the flags that we heuristically went through and said like, okay, you know, like you have WPS on. We have a little button that says like, hey, WPS is known flaw. You know, it makes it, you know, and so it goes back to that focus on learning, so we can teach people, hey, now we don't just say like, man, you know, WPS is on. Deal with it. We try to help. You know, we try to say like, this is why we think you should turn it off, or this is why we think it's an issue, and then you can ignore it. You know, if you say like, you know, you say like, okay, yeah, whatever, I want WPS, you can just ignore it, or you can actually have the tools now to go and deal with it. We also have, you know, legacy data rates to say, you know, are you sure you really want these rates on? If not, you should turn off all of them because this is really lame. And so
avoid using lame and those kind of things.
yeah.
We'll try to. Sometimes we just have to say what's wrong.
Just select multiple different channels in that and capture data from multiple different channels. Theoretically, you could also see a client roam from one AP to another AP. Are you able to pull out data about, okay, that's a poor roam, it's taking too much time, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I mean, we even talked about this last night. We talked about, you know, we're not done with Analyze. I mean, like this is I think we've had it for the last 2 or 3 versions, and it's a totally we are building this out because we want to see this. We not hundreds of things, but we want to let you see all of those really high level things that you right now have to dig through. So roaming is a great example where you would say like, hey, you had 1 in 6. We saw a packet from this client leave at this time, and then 5 seconds later we saw it show up here as its first data packet. 5 seconds, like, is that really cool for you? And the idea that you have some kind of threshold to say like, no, I mean 5 milliseconds, that's great, like cool. You probably don't care, but 5 seconds would be lame. And so you're absolutely right. I think that we will only be adding to this, as time goes on. Roaming's a great deal where we can know just from the data that roaming event was probably suboptimal. And I guess for you guys, where would you see that kind of threshold? I mean, like it's like a second, 2 seconds.
Give me a slider.
Slider?
Depends on the
Yeah, because
application,
if it's voice, I'll put it someplace different than if I just run it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
If that could be customizable in a simple way, that would be great.
Sure. I mean, if we could detect it, because we might be able from a lot of the devices, if we can just looking at its packets, if we can say like, this is probably a VoIP headset. Okay, that one, like if it would be a really short one. But if you say that's an Apple laptop, 3 seconds is probably not going to kill this user. So we could probably even do that.
Well, you could make it a slider so.
Sure.
Those of us who want to set it at 28 milliseconds, but you could have the little flag that's above the slider that just goes voice grade, so that anyone else can just kind of pull it to the category.
Because a lot of times you even have like your networks will be segregated based on the class of service anyway. So
what you're trying to get down to, though, the essence of what you're trying to get to is that on these warnings, or what we're analyzing, is to be able to say, I want to set the thresholds of when these pop up, because I'm okay with getting a warning, slow roam potential. It's after this. So really, what you're looking to do is
kind of a pain. It's the how bad does this hurt? The smiley face to the frowny face. So yeah, and that's great. And those are the kind of things that we were trying to bring in. As time goes on, we want Analyze to be really useful, and we normally shy away a lot of times from sliders if we can, just because we want the person to say like, we want to be able, if we can get in there and say like, okay, this is VoIP. We know that it's VoIP. Most of the traffic on this SSD is VoIP. They're going to want it to be fast roaming, and so we talk about that next 1,000 group, of people. So, but yeah, that's great. So. And we have all kinds of stuff. The one that I wanted to show you was we have this one for excessive deauthentications. So, someone has turned on containment against you, your network, suddenly you see like, hey, there are excessive deauths frames being sent, from, and so it is, it's those things that we can see. We see like suddenly all of your clients got deauthed. That's lame. Who did that? And that would lead you back to saying, okay, let's go and look at this. So, because you don't have to, and that's even before you look at the list of packets, right? You can just go through the things, say like, okay, excessive deauths. Oh man, are you serious? So we can see, that.
Yeah, I have just a little question right now.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh.
Go ahead and toss the, okay, you have no filters on right now, right?
Yeah.
correct.
Now.
Yes.
Okay. How come there's still a little headroom there with the...
Oh, that's a great question. What that is, those are the invalid packets, which is another reason we think that this is a fun feature, a great feature, because by default we don't show you the packets that we can't attribute. I'll turn this on, and you can see how weird everything starts to
They come
look.
up as a gray packet on the bottom here, and then...
Yeah, so... Yeah, because bad packets are evil. Like they really can be, they can be half-formed and, all kinds of weird stuff. And so we try not to, we try to show you, hey, you have a lot of them, but really we can't. When you get halfway through a packet, or like the header's only half there, and so you can't say like, oh yeah, this was definitely if we don't even get to the frame type, we can't say like, oh yeah, this is definitely blue, and so we have to go like a bunch of gray, nasty stuff. So we try to show you, you had a lot, you had a little.
So what counts as an invalid?
Oh, sorry. If we are going through the parser and we say like, hey, the header should be this long, or this is a beacon and so it should be exactly this long, or if that kind of stuff comes up, we say, okay, this is clearly totally malformed, and we toss it right away.
Whether or not it has the CRC.
Yeah. I mean, if it's just like it doesn't conform at all, then we toss it in the bin straight away. We also put ones that fail CRC in there as well. So we go through on one of the next passes and we say like, oh, did this pass? It could be good, but like, did we receive it incorrectly? You know, like we have that actually happen where the RP cap will get it, and we're like, that was bad, and then we receive an awk from the client because they got it just fine, but our RP cap didn't get it right. So it's kind of a fun one. But
when you do the Analyze tab for those types of packets, if you have a lot of your time being spent with corrupt packets, do you show that in Analyzer that you're...
Absolutely. Let's see, I don't know if I have it in this capture, but I can show you that. And also when you saw, I mean, like, it's actually it's more computationally expensive to deal with invalid packets because we have to say like, okay, are you actually, and we have to kind of hold it at arm's length to be like, okay, and be really kind of ginger with it because they're nasty. They're really kind of lame. But anyway, let's see if I can find.
By the way, I like on the Analyze tab the suggestions that you have here for legacy devices. It's not just a carte blanche, hey, get rid of all legacy devices. You're actually checking to see if there are legacy devices on the network before you make that recommendation.
Absolutely.
And so I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. We were also talking about, at our homes, we could go through and finally get rid of B. We're like, okay, great. And I went through and was like, oh yeah, I can get rid of G. This is great. I turned it off. And then, my wife comes up an hour and a half later and says, I can't get a book on my Kindle. And it's oh, dang it. I have to turn them back on. So you're right. I mean, it needs to be said. Those suggestions need to come up where you say, hey, you should have the fewest number of data rates you can and no fewer. The second part is as important. Thank you. So we do have one of these in here that'll actually, I'll see if I can find it. So fifth floor conference room probably does. Yeah, here we go. So we have, this one is a warning on high retransmits. So it's saying, hey, you have the following clients, on this network are having a really bad time. And it shows you their MAC addresses and their vendors and the percentage of retransmits they had so that you can track those down and say, and this.
It's a small list for these guys.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because I mean they were the big guy, and then you look at it, it's just a bunch of Cisco's, a bunch of crazy clients that apparently were doing nothing but retransmitting. So those are the kind of things where we really want to say, hey, right off the bat before you have to dig into anything.
5% retry rate. That's
yeah, you can see you're retransmitting just gobs.
I say that I used this a couple weeks ago at a customer site. I was just in the pre-sales engagement just to figure out, to walk the site, see the aesthetics, see what I had to work with to be able to mount APs, and I fired it up on my tablet, and the first tab I went to was the Analyze, because it's a high density environment. I wanted to see, do I have a bunch of high retransmits going on because the APs are way up in the ceilings and it's only 2-3 APs for a 2,000 sub-seat auditorium. So it worked out great to be able to just quickly go in there, see the data, and of course, saving the data, then I can go back and dig through and analyze it in greater detail if I wanted to later. But that was awesome to have that quick access.
Well, good. That's fantastic. Well, that's cool. And we also, another thing that we, for people who, like we keep talking about the people who aren't necessarily in the room, all the other guys. We want to be able to be that, not an authoritative third party, but like
trusted advisor.
An advisor. So you can show this to your client and say, hey, it's not just me saying this. Mm-hmm. MetaGeek even says it. It's just so you can have someone else who is in the room with you who says, no. High retransmits are lame. Legacy data rates are bad if you don't need them. You should really work on these. And when they say like, oh, but when you turn off those legacy data rates, my coverage area gets small and I have to buy more access points. Exactly.
That's a good thing.
This is what I've been trying to tell you all day. And so it's a tool for it's a tool not only for just you, but it's a tool for you in dealing with your clients. And so we have a lot more of these, and we'll have more as time goes on. We'd love to hear from people in the field, who you say, I really have this problem, and I know that it's in the packets. What do you guys think? Yeah.
I think it's a great tool for studying as well. The CWAP.
definitely.
I mean, this falls right in line with that checklist of items to have to study for, or study with.
Cool.
Can,
That's great.
can I, as a user, turn those off so they don't show up in that?
The turn off these warnings that
Yeah.
come up. We don't have a mechanism for turning them off. Just maybe not jump to the Analyze tab.
Oh, just from
click
you
that
said
button.
you're interacting with your customer. Sometimes I really don't want to explain some of these to the customer. If they see it,
Sure.
they're gonna, so I might want to flip up a couple and say, here's your problems, and there's 6 other ones that really don't matter. Like a WPS, I'll not want to talk to them about it because we'll get into their home network rather than their enterprise
Right.
network. So I'd like to have a little, don't turn these 4 on.
And yeah.
Are you actually able to produce reports from what the information that's in there?
We do have some of that, but right now, not really. I mean, it's something that like I said, this is something that's growing. I mean, this is really kind of where we're trying to push forward on. But reporting is clearly kind of the end result, right? Where you'd say like, in this example, we have a MetaGeek private. If let's say you had 5 of those, you could check all of them and say like, these are the 3 channels. This is what I did for you. This is why we, just diversified on channel. You could, and that would be something that would come out of this and be really useful.
And the start of that reporting is the copy paste.
Yes.
Feature
Yes.
that, and you can see the
Yeah.
little icon. It's the standard clipboard icon that you'll see. If you click on that, it will take what's in that pane.
Yeah.
And provide that for you to be able to put into a report, and that just kind of leads you to the ability to start to.
So when I do that, can I then cut pieces out?
then you could
paste?
do, because it's an image then.
I was thinking.
So
Yeah.
then you can crop out.
You can
what
crop it.
want.
And
Each little section's its own image, or is it one
No,
image?
right now I think
That's
I
the
think,
whole.
yeah, there's a
the whole
thing.
pane is.
Yeah, so if I didn't want the protection mechanism to show up in the report, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, you
Trying to
could-
find a halfway house before you get a report generated.
Yeah, you
behind
could
it.
potentially. Yeah,
Is
at
it
that point you'd
taking
want
a
to cut it
picture
out.
of everything that's
Pretty
there?
much, yeah. It's kind of what it's doing. For a lot of our stuff, for most of the app, when we're in the Visualize tab, it's a lot clearer to say like, okay, this is going to be a picture of
Right.
the tree piece. This is going to be a picture of the histogram, and but in here, we talk about like in the associated data table, we're going to grab the tabular data. So when it is a table, we grab tabular data, but when it's it's an
But
image.
in the Analyze tab, is it grabbing
It's gonna grab
the picture of the top bit and then just text for the others, so you could cut the text out if you wanted?
Let me show you, actually. Oh yeah.
It might be one way of getting it out.
Yeah, I mean, if it was text, we'll see here with
Oh,
the paste.
and how about not? Let's not do that.
Yeah,
Chris.
probably not in that one. You're just gonna turn it into.
Yeah, right. So
That one's probably better.
yeah. So it is. This one's just grabbing the.
Oh, it
the airtime.
doesn't grab the.
No, not because we recognized that that was it's different. Like it's not just a picture. So we wanted to get all the, so you can break it up, but we just didn't get it for this release.
So, to kind of ask a question of if you were to get needing, what would you put in a report? I guess if you're building a report off of the data side of, you got the physical side, which we can help you with Channelizer. We can create a report from there, Channelizer Pro. But from the data side, what kind of information would you want to include in that
Well,
report?
I'd like to see your list of your expert categories
Okay.
that I can turn on and off whether or not I care. And then if I turned it on and the data said you have this problem, then I want those paragraphs expanded saying you got 85% retries, here where they are. That's the chunk of data. And then be able to pull those over one at a time. I can live with the cut and paste.
Sure.
But actually, if they're all there, I can still live as long as each one's a cut and paste.
Sure. Okay.
Or
And-
you could let us import a Word doc with tags, with variables inside of the Word
Okay.
doc that
So you
are
would-
asking for that specific data. I think that was something that I
Even
mentioned
better.
to Ryan.
You'd have like one of those like wiki format text things where we go in and say like it's like a curly brace MAC address, and we put in the report for that MAC address kind of thing. So it would be like a pass through, like a mail merge
Yep.
through the program.
Yeah, but
That's
ultimately you're looking to get the expert tips or what's coming out
Yeah,
of
the
Analyze.
graphics, like
Then
that
all
one's
the
perfect.
graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
be able to pick the clipboard's
Which-
fine. I can pick which ones I want and build it. But the expert tips, they look official.
Mm-hmm.
You've written them, and if I paste them in, then in Word I can add another paragraph if I want.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like this is the MetaGeek recommendation. This is why I agree with MetaGeek, and you're adding that to your report.
Yeah, and it's
You
kind
would
of
only ever agree with us, right?
Yeah.
You would never have the why I disagree with MetaGeek food card.
We're awesome. MetaGeek's awesome. They said they are. So
This looks really scary, but it's not because
Yeah.
this, and this.
I handled it for you.
Right.
Yeah.
I did this for you.
How about a before and I'd love to do like a diff. Here's where it was. Here's
Yeah.
your problems when I got here.
And this is what I did to fix it. and this is, yeah.
And so here's what the problem was. I did this, and I can insert it, and this is how I mitigated it. Then the second report, we did another 5-minute capture, and here's where your result is.
interesting.
Yeah, that whole the pre-post stuff is really. We talked about.
It's a very popular in Channelizer. Channelizer Pro, that's a very popular approach that we found from consultants. They go in, build a report, and we give the customizable fields. We give you our text, but you can change our text within our report, then it exports it out, is that they will do a before and after. Here's what it looked like before I got here, and then you paid me all this great money, and this is what you got, and that's why you hired me, and we'll see you later.
Because I mean, for a lot of these guys, Channelizer, we're not talking about Channelizer yet, but it's a great example where we have guys come up and say, I was able to do like a birth certificate for this network, by giving you a report when I left. Everything was fine, and it's better to have something like that than just to say like, trust me, everything is fine. It's good.
Show me the RF facts.
The RF facts? No, we actually analyze the act of analyzing it and trying to pull out stuff is do you want us to send you those every day like cat facts?
Yeah.
So the other thing about this is that if you're producing a report with the stuff that's in here, you're producing a set of generic recommendations that you're pulling from a database. So quite often if I'm doing a report for things, I'll go, these are the findings, this is what I found. These are my recommendations that I'm adding to that to mitigate what was found in that section. So it's like an add-on recommendation that you personally are making for their environment.
And that was, and then we have all these ideas, like having a Word document, having all this stuff, and because we know that you guys everyone has their own style. There's no one way to do these reports. That's why we tried to get all of the clipboard icons so that you can try to pull out all the data. We're still working on the rest of the Analyze tab, but it's great. You want that data so that you can build your report, and it's something we agree with you. That it's
one
important.
other thing I was wondering as well, and this is a little bit unrelated to that. I know you're doing packet captures with the NXs there. Is it possible to set it up to do remote packet captures from AP?
Not right now, but
Topic we'd like to talk with you about
absolutely
maybe later.
Absolutely, because it's one of those things we'd love to hear. If it's something that everyone needs, then that's something it's something that's obviously possible. But we don't do it right now. But we will. If you do have a remote packet capture that you get, however you get it. If you get a PCAP file at the end or a PCAP NG file at the end, we will open it up and do all of this stuff.
Right.
The external, the packet captures from other sources are all first-class citizens in our environment. So there's not, it doesn't matter if you get it from the AP, get it from the or PCAP, get it from a friend, whatever. everything will get analyzed as a first-class
It's just kind
citizen.
of useful sometimes when you're troubleshooting to be able to open up, do a PCAP, have the data coming in and going, oh yeah, okay, I'm doing filtering on this data that's coming in and watching what's happening with the clients, connecting and what they're going through. That.
So you're also asking about remote, not only asking remote but live, right? That's what you're kind of also
Remote.
hoping to get to is
Our PCAP is the facility within Wireshark that does that.
Yeah. And so the live stuff, because we designed this with the idea that you would you'd really kind of do this post analysis, be a really intensive analysis of what happened. We don't do everything while it's live, and so that's
okay.
Because it all happens, once you hit that stop button, then we can really get, okay, we're ready. We have everything. We can go through and do all of this and everything. But that's not to say that it won't change. But it's something right now where we do it post. We do post capture.
That's good.
So let's see. I think that was pretty much it for IPA. So I got the filters, we got the histogram, we got the packets and the analyze and everything.
Do Do you happen to have a voice call capture?
I have to look through my list. I don't know if I do.
I just want to see what the ladder diagram looked like on your packets tab.
I unfortunately didn't bring them all with me.
And I don't have them either.
No, I don't think I have one on me. Sorry about that. No, so yeah. I don't. But that's something that the ladder diagram would show up, and it would be, hopefully it would be as useful. But and the other thing is in here, we talked about how let's say yours is really small. We do this collapsing that we showed at Wireless Tech Field Day 3, where if something is just not one of, if it would be so small that you couldn't even really get it with the mouse, we try to put it into this other, miscellaneous category. Most of the time it's not going to be you, because you're going to be doing some kind of throughput test or something at the same time, but it still shows up in our table. So it's something that, even way down here, you can see this guy who has one client and passed 14 bytes. And so that's something that just to be aware for you guys who are using it, it's something where that table is everything.